What's up, YouTube? So first things first, we're going to continue to talk about the chest fly, and in particular the cable chest fly, because more times than not with myself, or if I'm training somebody, this will be the variation or the application of resistance that I will go to more times than not. And I'm going to talk to you in this video a couple reasons why. But before we do that, I'm going to do the salesy thing. There's going to be more videos on this exercise that are going to be really good. Of course, they're going to be good. And then I'm going to continue to have more videos coming down the line. So please subscribe so I can continue to do these videos and feed you guys information for you to go into the gym and be awesome. So what we're going to talk about in this video is the benefit of the fly in general, and then also the benefit of using cables possibly over a free weight application like the dumbbells. Now, the fly in general is a good exercise, but the reality is it's not really different than a press, because when you go from application to application to application, and when I say application, I mean exercise, you're not changing the function of your chest. Your chest still does the same thing. It essentially brings the upper arm or the humerus into the body or down into the ribs or up into the collarbone, depending on what part of your pecs you're trying to bias. And if you're just trying to train your chest, it just brings it into the sternum. When you go into a press, that's your focus. When you go into a fly, that's your focus. The only thing that changes is the lever length. So we have literally twice the amount of real estate to be in control of when we're talking about a press in comparison to a fly. Press, right? Press, fly. A lot larger degree of range of motion, a lot longer lever length, and that is why our flies are never as strong as our presses. But we have some people that are better candidates for flies when it comes to actually allowing the chest to actually work in comparison to presses. And we have other people that are like, well, I get really good results out of bench presses. What's wrong with everybody else? They must be doing it wrong. No, they may have a structural or a mobility issue. And the big reason why is a couple of things here. If I'm a person like me and I have a deeper sternum angle, okay, already my pecs are in front of everything. So pressing is going to be really easy. Now, rule of thumb is whatever's the furthest in front of a joint, a working joint. So the pecs act on the shoulder joint. Whatever's in front is going to work most. If I have a flatter sternum and my shoulders are more in front, my front delts are going to work most. That may be one reason why people feel front delts more in presses than they do, or excuse me, they feel front delts more so in presses than they feel their chest, okay? Secondarily, there may be a mobility issue, a person's ability to internally or externally rotate that humerus. So again, if I am a person and I'm just like this at the side, and then I go into my pressing motion, and maybe I chose to do more of a flat or decline press. So this part of my pecs is in front of everything else. If I try to get everything internally rotated, maybe my front delts start to elevate. Maybe I don't have the ability to internally rotate without things on the inside moving up or down. When it comes to isolating a muscle group, we really don't want the structure of our inside, which is our stable anchor, to be unstable. Otherwise, our pecs aren't going to have any kind of stable surface to actually pull against, to provide output, and therefore there'll be compensation, pain, discomfort, you name it. So the inability to internally rotate or externally rotate that humerus without a bunch of crap moving on the inside could be a reason why, again, presses may not be great. The beauty of the fly is, if I stand here and my arms are longer, they can be straight, they can be slightly bent. Now look at all the mobility that I have to my humerus. I can really internally rotate and externally rotate as much as I want, and I have no issue with anything elevating or depressing unwanted on the inside, which makes flies a really nice versatile option for someone that has restrictions from either a structural standpoint or mobility standpoint. If it's mobility, I have freedom in internal external rotation. If it's structural, now I can externally rotate that humerus to get that unwanted front delt, look at this, behind my pecs. In front of my pecs with a flat sternum angle, behind my pecs with a flat sternum angle. So nothing has changed with my structure. I didn't have to manipulate it, but since I have more mobility, it opens up the opportunity to actually get that working tissue actually to work for you in the benefit of stimulating chest. And yes, we can finally have some pecs, okay? Now, last, why would I choose the cables over dumbbells? Well, it really has everything to do with the amount of resistance we have through the degree of that range of motion. So if I have a dumbbell, let's say like I'm lying on my back, okay? I'm lying on my back right now, the bench is behind me and I'm doing a fly. Now, it doesn't matter what kind of fly, it can be an incline fly, it can be a flat fly, it really doesn't matter. But that dumbbell is going to provide the most load around this joint, and the stretch position is furthest away from it, right? It's exerting resistance in line with gravity. And as that dumbbell gets closer and closer toward that joint that the chest is working on, the shoulder joint, it's becoming less and less of a resistance to the pecs. Therefore, there is a drop off in that resistance. And the reason, or the way that you know how to test that is like, well, how do I know the resistance profile? How do I know if something's good or bad? It's not bad, it's just different. But if you're able to have your joints somewhat stacked, or you have a muscle more in its contracted position in this example here, and have dumbbells in my hand, if I'm lying on my back, how long can I hold those dumbbells? As long as I want, because the pecs aren't doing any work, because that resistance isn't applying any direct load to have any additional overwhelming stimulus or tension to the pecs at that point in time. What the cables do is they apply resistance and outward resistance in that shortened range that the dumbbells don't allow. So we have resistance here, 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 and all the way through. Again, it's a varying degree of the amount of resistance depending on what the cable width is, narrow or wide, which I will talk about in a later video, which is a really creative way of mechanically changing things for another time, guys. But getting back on track here, you have resistance through the entire range of motion because there's an outward pull of the cables. With the dumbbells, there's a downward push of the dumbbells. With the cables, there's an outward pull at all times, and that's what makes them a little bit more effective from a hypertrophy standpoint and for a long-term progression standpoint, because my pecs are working more per inch of range of motion because they have load and resistance for more of the range of motion. So I'm not saying that flies are better than presses. They are uniquely different, but if you feel like you have restrictions or you have issues, if you are that candidate and you're sitting in front of me and you're telling me this, Bryce, I'm having problems with presses, I'm probably more times than not going to take you in and teach you how to do the cable fly so you can actually get these guys, you know, those boobs right here, to actually do something. So tune in next time. We got another video coming where we're going to talk about alignment with the cable fly so that it's actually doing you some good work.